In this episode of Tesla series, we're installing these physical buttons on our Tesla Model 3 and Model Y that allows you to control various aspects of your Tesla, including fully unlatching the passenger doors both in the front and rear, full climate control, the rear climate control, the airflow adjustment. You can defrost and defog your car, including the front passenger recline as well as the adjustment of the seat position. You can also open the front and the trunk, the glove box, the mirror, the wiper control, so you can have a full control without fumbling through the touch screen here. You can unlock and lock the car and so much more. Hey, what's going on everyone? Shiva Sapkota here with another Tesla accessory review. If you remember a couple of weeks ago, I did a poll on the community forum section of our channel asking you all if you wanted to see a detailed installation and review of this physical buttons for your Tesla Model 3 and Model Y. Overwhelmingly, you all voted yes, you wanted to see the review, so that's what we're gonna do here today. These buttons are actually really cool that you can adjust things like your passenger seat, and it can do the recline as well as recline back. I mean, there's so many different functionality. Before we get started, if you're new to the channel, we cover Tesla accessories, show you detailed step-by-step installation guide, and share our honest opinion about the product. If you'd like to see more videos like this in the future, please make sure you're subscribed to the channel and give this video a thumbs up. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for your continued support. Let's get started. So these are all the parts that you get with this kit, and the overall installation is pretty straightforward. There's just a lot of wire routing with this process. So this is the button itself. As you see, you can push the button up or down, and this has this piece here that goes inside, and I'll show you where it goes in the central screen. You've got one input/output here, and this is your extension cable. So the whole purpose of this cable is so you can route the wire, and this plug that you see here, the white plug, just connects here, and then you take this extension all the way towards the back. So you connect this from the front, and then you take this extension. Now this extension has two different inputs here. So there's one that does the seat control. So this is the seat control module. You're just going to plug this into the female port, and then you're going to bypass this on the side of the front passenger seat. We have done this numerous times in the past for different rear screens, so that's pretty straightforward. We'll show you how to do that. Then you are left with just one more plug, and that is the one that goes to the OBD plug. So you're just going to plug this into the OBD, and then this way you can just bypass the OBD. In the back, if you have other product, you can daisy chain it. This one right here goes on the bottom of the center screen. I'll show you where this goes. This is where the temperature sensor is going to go. So the first step on this process is we're gonna route this extension cable, and to do that we actually have to reach underneath here. We gotta remove this mesh that you see. So the best way to do this is to get a pry tool that has this screw hole in the middle where you can wedge a fastener and then remove it. And what we're gonna do is reach underneath here in this area and simply push our pry tool in there, and then try to pull this out. And you just have to reach again right in that opening, and that opening is left by Tesla for this purpose. And then you are gonna want to make your way around it. This is the first time I'm doing it on my Model Y, and as you can see, it could be a little stubborn, but I'm in an awkward position here. But that's how you remove it, by simply putting this in, and there you go. So this comes right out, and the goal is to remove this, and we're going to be replacing this. So there are multiple ways to route the cable from the top to the bottom, and the manufacturer says to remove this panel, but it is a little bit difficult to remove that panel. It's not just that bottom one, you gotta also remove this top one here, and it's a little bit difficult. I mean, you can try to fish it using a fishing cable, but I found it hard and tedious, and I couldn't get the cable up. What I found it to be the easiest was to just remove this central console panel. So I'll show you how to pop that out, and then we will just pass the cable from the top to the bottom here, and that's how we did our installation. We just have to remove this top portion. It is really easy. You just have to pop this out, and they're just using some clips to connect it. It feels like you're breaking it. You really aren't, but just be careful. And what we do is essentially remove the side panel from both sides, and this top one kind of just comes out. You can either use a pry tool to pry from the top, or if you look at it, you can also just go from the top and then start pulling this out. So you can prop this out like this as well, and it's already coming out. And as I said, it feels like you're breaking it, but you really aren't. And these are the clips that are connected to there, and then they just kind of come out, and that's what you do. Just make your way around and do that from both sides before you reach underneath here. You can also pull this just a little bit. There are some clips there as well. Loosen it, go to the other side and do the same thing. As I said, we're doing the same thing on this side as well. So we're just going to reach under and then pull it out. The sound that it makes is a little scary, but this is the only way to do this. And then when you prop everything out, depending on if you have ever done this or not, this might be a little tight, and then essentially this whole part just comes out like that. So after I removed this side panel here, it was a lot easier to fish that wire. So if you look at it in the bottom, I've got a zip tie. I just use a regular, like a long zip tie here, and I've got the other end of the zip tie that's coming out from the top. So if you look at it, I fished it from down here to get the other end of the zip tie on the top. Now, all I have to do is use an electrical tape and then pass that cable so that it can come out from the bottom. You could technically do it from the side without removing this panel, but if you can imagine, it's really difficult to fish it through there, coming out, and without removing this whole panel. And it's not just the bottom panel. Like, I tried removing the bottom panel, but that does not give you access to this whole area. And I used a regular fishing wire. It was really difficult. That's why I decided to remove this whole panel, and it was super easy from here. So now I'm going to pass that cable, and then I'm going to just route it from underneath through there and then through the side panel and take it out. Now I have taped one end of the cable to this zip tie, and I also went ahead and taped this seat button side as well, because it's just a Y connector from here. Again, just remember that you have got this larger cable still out, because that's what we're going to be connecting to the main unit. And now we can just pull this from the bottom. As you can see, I have successfully fished this out. Now I can just pull this and get this cable out as well. Next, we're going to transfer this pressure sensor here from this bracket to this new bracket, and it's a one-to-one swap. What we have to do is remove these two Torx screws, then this whole unit comes out, and we're going to fix that right here. So those two Torx screws goes here. To make this process a bit easier, because if you look at it, it's in an awkward position, it's hard to put the screwdriver here. What we're going to do is actually remove this unit, and if you look at it closely here, I don't know how good the lighting is, there is that little tab, and when you push on that tab, it actually pushes this hinge that is holding the pressure transducer plug in place, and then when you push and hold, you're actually able to just pull that out. So essentially, you are just pinching on this middle part, and while holding it down, you can pull this out. So pinching and pulling, so it comes out. So it looks like these are two Torx 20, and just use that screwdriver to remove these two screws from here. We're just going to put that aside for now. Remove the other one, put that here. Now this whole pressure transducer just comes out, and that assembly is free. Now we are going to be transporting this pressure transducer to this assembly, and as you see, there is that little carved area, and it actually goes in right here, so super easily. So now we're going to take the same Torx 20 screws, and we're simply going to put this in here exactly like how we removed it from the original unit, and we're going to tighten this in place. Alright, I ran into a bit of a fit and finish issue. I don't think they sent me the right screws to put in here. I don't think I'm supposed to put the Torx 20 screws back on. I think I'm supposed to use this screws that they sent with the kit, but these are way too small and they would not hold this temperature sensor in place. So my only option was to use the existing Torx 20 screws. But if you look at it, they're not fully flushed in. I mean, this is good, this is secured, but I'm gonna make a case with them to see if they can send me new screws that are compatible with this unit. I don't know, maybe they messed up, maybe I'm supposed to do this, but right here, if you look at it, it starts kind of bending if I put it too tightly. I mean, I can go a little bit further in here, but I mean, this is not moving, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't think it's gonna affect anything. I'll let you know. Next, we're going to reach underneath the screen here, and if you look at it, there are these two 10mm sockets. We just have to remove them. I'm just going to use a standard socket wrench, ratchet wrench to remove those. You can use a power tool, but our goal is to just remove two of those. So once you use the wrench, you can kind of take this out. While the two screws are out, please do not try to put any load on this screen, because those two screws are holding the screen in place from just popping out. So as long as it is just hung with the frame, nothing is gonna happen, but don't try to bump into it or anything, because it could push the screen out. Now we are going to take this unit, and if you look at it, it has got that opening for those two socket screws to go in, and we're simply going to align it underneath here in this way. So let me try to get you a better angle here, but basically this is where it is going to go, and we are going to install those screws. And then in the front, once this is fully secured in this place, so I lost it here, so once this is fully secure, it is going to look like this. And if you look at it, it is fully aligned there. Now we can go ahead and install those two screws. So again, the goal is we're going to take this bracket and simply push this to align it on top in this location. So if you look at it, it'll go and align with those screw holes, and we're going to install the two 10mm socket exactly here, and then it will hold the bracket as well as the screen. So to get started with those two socket screws, it is in an extremely awkward position. The best way that I found for this to go in is, once you align this, to push it kind of diagonal. Don't try to push it straight up, kind of push it towards diagonal, and just use a socket like this to further tighten it. But it is in a bit of an awkward position, but once it is secured, it goes like that. Now we just have a few connections to make in the front. The first one being this temperature sensor, and exactly like how we removed it earlier, we'll just push this in, and now that temperature sensor is hooked on. And now we just have to make the connection from the button to these wires we routed earlier. There you go. All of this is secured, and if you want to be extra secure, you can also put some electrical tape around this. We're going to push this inside the opening, and let me show you what this looks like from the bottom. The final step for this is we are just going to align this exactly like how we did it with the original unit. We can push those brackets in on the sides, and then once both of those side brackets are in, once we push it, if you look at it, it actually aligns pretty well. So let me go ahead and push that in. And if you're wondering what the fit looks like from inside, it looks like this. It's actually a pretty good fit. And that's what the back looks like. Now we're done with the top part for the wire routing. All it is left to do is to bring that cable in, and what we're going to do is hide it under this carpeted area. If you look at it, there is a connection here, and we just have to prop this open using a pry tool like this. You can use a metal pry tool, pull this out, and then simply hide the cable underneath and bring it up to this location, pass it through behind the seat, because we need to take this main cable all the way back, and then that's the seat connection cable. So let's do the seat connection next. Now for the seat control button, once you make this connection using this pins here, then we are going to be routing this cable from underneath the seat. And just use this here and then hide it on this cutout. So again, hide it here. You can also use a pry tool to further hide this cable. Then go under this air vent panel and then continuously hide the cable to route it to the other side. Here's the cable that we fished from inside, and you just have to work a little bit here, work around some of these plugs, and you can get this plug from this opening right here. So you could do that. You just have to make sure that everything is aligned and you're not, once this is all done, you want to make sure all this pistons and everything, you're not interfering with any of that by going through the inside. But the inside route is much cleaner, and you want to make sure that you have enough slack so that when the seat is pushed all the way front, so right now this is the maximum it will go, you have the cable with the inadequate slack here. There are two ways of accessing this plug. You could just move this seat a little bit here, and you can, or there is a screw right here if we wanted to tap into that screw. So what we did here was we just simply pulled this plug out from that opening, and now we are going to plug this female end of the new harness to the male end of this plug, and then we're going to, so after you do this, so it should click in place, so which it did. Now we're going to plug this male in exactly like how this purple and red wires were. We're going to plug it in here on this plug. What you want to do is, if you see this pin side, you want to face this towards the left. So you want to face this little notch here towards the right, and then align it to the hole, and then you're going to push it in. Space is very tight here. Now the final piece of this puzzle is this OBD connector that we need to connect in the back here with that connection that we routed from the front. And for this, all we have to do is remove this rear central console panel by using a pry tool. We've done this so many times in the past, and it kind of just pops out like this. Now we have got this OBD connector, and we just have to route it using this. So essentially bypassing this, you're going to pinch on this middle piece, and while holding this down, you're going to pull the connection out. Now take the new connector that they send with the kit. We're going to take the male end of this new connector and then plug it into the female end of the Tesla connector. So like this, clicks into its place. For the female one, it's the same deal. You just grab this and push this in, and that is the connection. Now we're going to take this cable that we routed from the front and then connect it with this OBD cable here, and all we have to do is push this, and we are good to go. The front buttons lit up, so let me show you that next. Then you can simply put this cover back on like how we removed it, and you're good to go. Now let's cover all the functionalities of these buttons and go through all the testing. This first one is a door control button. So if I press this down, the rear door unlatches, and then it shows the notification right here, the indication that it unlatched. And if I press this up, the front door unlatches. So that is also indicated here. And if you look at it, both of those doors are unlatched, and it made that indication here in the screen as well. So super easy, pressing down rear, pressing up front door. And with this door unlatched, your passenger can just reach over here and be able to open it without needing to fumble through this control. Moving on to this next one, this is your fan speed button. So if you press this towards the bottom, it lowers the fan speed, and if you press this towards the top, it increases the fan speed of your air conditioning or your heater. So if you press and hold on this button all the way towards the up for a couple of seconds, it sets the max fan speed. So let's just start with that. So pressing this and holding, it'll turn the max fan speed, and you can probably hear that. Now if I wanted to decrease it, I start pressing down, or, so if you look at it, it kind of does it incrementally. I believe it does by 2, so 2 every time fan speed. And if I want to press and hold on this for a couple of seconds, it takes me to the lowest fan speed, which is 1. So that is what this button does. Now moving on to this next one, if we look at it here, the rear fan is not turned on, but watch what happens. Press here, the rear fan is on. So this just toggles the rear fan on and off for the rear passengers. Again, turning off. This next button toggles your airflow to either to your face or to your feet. Right now it is toggled to just go to your face. Now if I press this towards the bottom, it goes to both the feet and your face. And if I press on it again, it only does to your face, not to your feet. Again, that's you get the idea. It does up and down. Now if I press this up, it only sends the air to your feet, not to your face. So it's pretty intuitive, exactly like some of the other cars that we have seen. That is what this does, is just diverts the air to your feet or your face. Now this next button over here is for your defrost and defog. So if I press this towards the down, your car starts defrosting and you can hear the airflow. And if I press this towards the up, your car starts defogging and I can feel the cold air starting to come out. And if you press on this again, this whole thing should turn off because now you're not defrosting or defogging. Now these two buttons are for the passenger seat here on the front. So doing a demonstration here. So what this first one does, it controls the movement of the chair. So as you see, it goes up, it goes down, and you can just press and hold and it controls the chair. Now what this does is the recline. So it reclines back, and if you press up, it reclines forward. Now this next button controls the trunk and the frunk. So if we were to just press once, it opened the trunk, and you see that the trunk has been opened. And if we press on this again, it closes the trunk, and you'll see that animation pop up here. Pressing this up opens the frunk, and if you press it up again, it will close the frunk if you have an automatic front closer installed. This button is just the media control button, so you can press up, it will go towards the reverse, and then if you press down, it will go to next song that you're playing from your media. So it's just simply a media control button. This next button is what controls the mirrors as well as the glove box. So if we take a look at this mirror, if you press this down, so let's do a quick demo here. So this is the mirror control button, and if I press this down, you see it unfold and fold the mirror. Press it down again, it unfolds, so it controls the mirror. Now if we press this towards up, this is when the glove box opens, and of course you're gonna manually close that down. So that is what this button does. Now let's move on to the next button. So this is the wiper control button. Right now it is set at automatic. Now if I was to press this towards manual, that is when the wiper control starts, and right now the wiper is turned off essentially. It's not going off. Now if we were to press this once, then it does 1. So that's the speed of 1. Now if we were to press this again, that's the speed of 2, and you get the idea. Now it is going to start and super fast, and we're back to the speed of 1. And toggling this up just means that it is now set to automatic. Now there's this final button. I don't know why this is not illuminated, so that's a bummer. But what that final button does is it opens this charge port. So if I was to press this once, you see that the charge port opened. And if I press this again once, the charge port closes. And pressing this button up actually unlocks and locks the door. So it locks the door, that means mirrors are folded, and unlocks the door, that means mirrors are unfolded. So those are all the functionalities here in these buttons. I think these buttons are fun. I mean, they are very practical. I have always wanted to control this chair here using the driver's seat. If somebody's sitting over here, especially my father who sits in the front seat typically as my passenger, he's unable to reach that far down to control his seat. So this is super cool for me that I can now control the seat. I don't have to get out of the car and then go in towards the passenger side and control it. I can just do it from directly here. So that's a great benefit for many people, Uber drivers. I mean, the functionality exists there, and there is countless application of this functionality. The rest of the functionalities are also really practical and useful. For example, popping the front and the rear doors. If you're an Uber driver or just in general, people fumble a lot opening a Tesla if they're not used to opening a Tesla. Then you can just use these buttons very, very quickly to not only unlock the doors, but also open the door, unlatch the door. So that's a really great functionality. Another thing that I really like is the wiper control because in the rainy times, it's just a little bit difficult to control the wipers. I mean, I can use that quick button on the left here on the stock gear to activate the control and then see it and then control it in the screen. But having this physical button where it is an easy toggle where I can control that also really helps. The defrost, defog, again, it just gives you that much closer to the controls where you don't have to go into the touch screen and control all of this. The mirror control, the Glovebox, I mean, there are so many functionality in this product here that I think is very practical, very useful, and it is going to come in handy for many, many people. You can always make the argument that you're not too far off from the screen. Just touch on the screen and control it. That is true, but many people are not comfortable doing that while you are driving, and they're used to seeing buttons like this on a traditional typical car where they can press it. It's easy access button. You don't have to go through the menu and then try to find, like, right here is my glove box. I can just go over here and then I can pop the glove box using the button. So it just gets you that much closer to the functionality, to the settings, toggling all of this directly here with these buttons. Now on to some of my dislikes. I think the installation could have been easier. I don't know why they went through over here and routed all the cables. I feel like they could have just used a double-sided tape to stick this somewhere. Perhaps just a button right here and then just pass the cable through there. I do think the installation could be a bit easier. It's not hard, it's just a little bit tedious when you have to remove the panel, or maybe there's an easier way to go through there. I don't know. But personally, I think there's a better way to do this where you can control various things and be able to install this right here in the middle. Another thing that I think is missing with this whole setup is an app or something to program this button so that you can customize it to your liking, because you may not be a big fan of all the controls that it provides, the 14 control that it provides right now. You want it to do different things, like maybe turn on the dome light, which it does not do right now. So certain things like that, if you would like to program it, I would have liked to have an option to be able to do that, and this does not offer that. So I hope in the future iteration of this product, or maybe it's a software fix, that TL allows you to program the buttons. As always, I'm really interested in knowing your feedback, and it is very critical because we can pass on those feedback to the manufacturer so they can incorporate it into their future design. And that has happened constantly in the past, where you let me know that this is missing something and the manufacturers have addressed those. So please, please, please continue to do that. Your likes, your dislikes, if the feature is missing, what you would like to be added in the future iteration, please let me know in the comment section below. Also, please put anything in the comment, smiley face, I did a good job, I did a bad job, anything that you want to let me know, because more engagement, like, share, subscribe, turn on the notification, anything that you can do to engage with our videos greatly helps us rank higher in YouTube's algorithm. That means we can bring more and more videos like this in the future. Thank you very much. We'll be back again with another Tesla accessory.